We claim to have opened our economy in 1977, but we are a very frequent visitor to the IMF. So a reason is, in my view, and this is backed by evidence, is that we opened the economy, but we didn't open it enough. It's like opening the door, but we opened it halfway, very half-hearted way we opened in 1997. And there are a few reasons for this. One is, for example, we are one of the most protected economies in the world, as Advocata and others would agree, because even when it comes to trade facilitation, trade liberalization, we are even worse than least developed countries, like poor countries in Africa and Asia. So here again, you can't call yourself an open economy and at the same time, have the term that you're one of the most protected economies in the world. So there itself is a contradiction. The second thing is the SOEs. As the previous speaker spoke, 527 state-owned enterprises. So this is not usual for an economy that claims to have liberalized itself in 1977. So out of the over 500 state-owned enterprises, over 100 have commercial interests. So they're competing with the private sector. So you wouldn't really call this a free market economy when the government, which is supposed to be the policymaker and the regulator, is competing with the private sector. And the other thing is, of course, labor reforms, last updated in the 1950s. We have one of the highest retrenchment costs. Land reforms, the government of Sri Bandaranaike in the 1970s nationalized a lot of land. But in 1977, most of the land was not given back. Now I think in the budget, the president has allocated, but that's a tiny amount. So 82% of land is owned by the government. So for the 22 million people and the private sector, there's only 18% of land. So land and labor are major factors for economy. So when the government is so heavily involved in land and other aspects, you can't really once again call it an open economy. And the last thing is a very interesting thing. So when you look at the non-tradable portion of the GDP, in 1977, when we opened our economy, it was 75%. So naturally, for an economy that opens itself, you would expect the non-tradable sector to decrease. But Sri Lanka, it was unique. It went the other way around. Today, the non-tradable sector is at 75%. So only 25% is tradable. So this kind of explains, which I'll touch on later, why we go to the IMF, why we have a balance of payment crisis.